What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another Astral Chain hype video. A lot of you guys have been talking about how excited that you are for Astral Chain and how excited the videos on the news for Astral Chain gets you going when it comes to the game. So I wanted to make another video compiling some of the recent news for the game because there was some pretty cool stuff that Nintendo of America recently spoke about. Now, for those who don't know, Astral Chain is a brand new Nintendo Switch exclusive dropping on August 30th that kind of combines a lot of the elements from different Platinum Games titles. So if you've played or heard about Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, you also have Mad World, Nier, all of these different games. There's a lot of DNA kind of just taken from each one of those and kind of put in together with a whole new form of gameplay and put right in front of us for us to play exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. So I'm extremely excited to play and to cover this game and to have a game like Astral Chain back to back with a game like Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is almost unprecedented for any system out there, at least for me, at least when it comes to exclusives back to back from one month to the next. It's been absolutely amazing. But I did want to get into the first bit of news here when it comes to Astral Chain. We have the Mr. Tura's case files number 3. Now, what the case files are, there are a series of tweets where Mr. Tura-san, he is the producer, the lead producer and director of Astral Chain on the Nintendo Switch. He goes over some different stuff about the game that you might not have known, and this one is probably the most unique bit because he talks about Pokemon and how Pokemon influenced what he's doing with Astral Chain. I would have never thought about that at all, and we're going to talk about some of the other stuff that people were saying as well. So let me go ahead and get into the case files number 3. Quote, in Astral Chain, the player summons and fights alongside Legion. I really love Pokemon, so maybe the idea of calling on another character to fight alongside was greatly influenced by my childhood gaming experiences of growing up alongside my Pokemon. So let's talk about this just a little bit. One, he says childhood gaming experiences. So Mr. Tura-san is definitely young. He's in that early 30s range or so. If he's saying childhood gaming experiences, in Japan, Pokemon was, I think, 1995 or so for Pokemon when people started playing that. So he was obviously a small boy at that time. So he is definitely more of a young guy out there. And if you look at him during the Nintendo Treehouse segments, he is definitely a young man and kind of already in this spot, making a big game for one of the biggest publishers in the world with Nintendo. That is a lot of pressure on somebody his age, but he's doing it, and he's doing a very good job of marketing, promotion, and just the quality of the game so far from what I've seen and the gameplay. Now, one thing to notice with this is that if you look at Pokemon, it kind of makes sense, right? If you look at Astral Chain, you have different forms of these legions that can be sent out and can attack. And these different legion forms have different types of moves and abilities and skills that they do have. So I can see some of the similarities there when he says that, hey, it's kind of like Pokemon and it kind of influenced it just a little bit based on his childhood gaming. Now, some people were talking about JoJo. You guys all know JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and kind of how there's like stands, right? And they can be used to attack and do different things. And on top of that, I think there's even a little bit more correlation between stands and Astral Chain because people can't really see stands in JoJo, and that's the same case going on here with Astral Chain. People can't see all of this stuff without the iris. Without that iris and the eye that only certain people have, you can't see everything that is going on here with the legions and with the enemies and stuff like that. So it makes sense that there's a little bit of JoJo kind of mixed into their Pokemon as well. But either way, I'm extremely excited to kind of get into this game, and for some reason I feel more assured about this game being a success and doing well just because he said that, and I don't know why, but I just feel better because maybe I love Pokemon too. When I was a kid, Pokemon was my favorite franchise. After Mario, when I got older into the 10, 11, 12, 13 range, Pokemon was my #1 franchise, and I played the games all the way up until my 20s, really. And I'm actually looking forward to Pokemon Sword and Shield, so it's pretty cool to hear him say this and kind of say that there's some inspiration and draw between the two. Now, I do want to move on to the next topic here, and that is a brand new track from Astral Chain. Nintendo of America posted this on their official Twitter account, and here's what they had to say. And you guys will be hearing the music starting up. Turn your volume up and enjoy listening to some of the intense and exciting music from Astral Chain. This song was featured in the game's first trailer earlier this year, and the music is absolutely phenomenal. This is the type of music that really like game of the years. When it comes to Nintendo games and you look at some of the best games that are released this year and what I'm looking at, you see Fire Emblem, see how great that music is. You look at Astral Chain, see how great that music is. This is what it's made of. This track is absolutely fire, and I think that it fits the theme, the tone, just like the way the game is so much. And we talked about music a little bit on a previous video. Make sure you look up my Astral Chain videos. Just type in Astral Chain in the search bar. You'll see a ton of videos that I've done. But recently I talked about the music and how they wanted to intensify the scenes as you get closer to the action. And then as things are a little bit more calm, they kind of scale back things and they have it on a little bit of a diagram. There was like a picture that they put up, and this is exactly what it's talking about here when it comes to the music with Astral Chain. It seems like it's definitely going to be a god tier soundtrack, up to the levels of an Octopath, or maybe up to the levels of maybe even a Xenoblade. This music sounds really good. I really like Nier's soundtrack as well on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. That has a great soundtrack too, and so do Bayonetta games. Lots of Platinum Games titles, but this seems to be a cut above the typical Platinum Games title when it comes to music. So I'm excited to explore more and hear more when it comes to Astral Chain, because this looks like this soundtrack is going to blow us away, which is unfortunate that we still don't have a confirmation of a special edition with the soundtrack here in the West. I know there's something in Japan and I think maybe in Europe, but man, nothing here. Nintendo of America is being a bit stingy when it comes down to it. But I do want to go into one more last thing before we wrap this video up, and that is a recent bet or a recent discussion that we had on OJ Live, my daily live streaming series, where we talk about a variety of topics, even people sliding into DMs like the dude from Vanquish, Sam Gideon from Vanquish, sliding into other people's DMs. We even go that far. So make sure you guys check out my OJ live streams pretty much every single day around 1:30 to 2 o'clock p.m. PT Eastern Time. Add 3 hours to that. But anyway, let's go in and get into this last part here. And I wanted to talk about the sales of Astral Chain, because I actually made a bet say that the game will sell at least 1 million copies by around this time next year. So on August 30th, 2020, the game will have at least 1 million sales, because there was one of our elite ninja here in the village that said, you know what, he doesn't think it's going to sell well, that it's going to flop. So around 700K in a year. And I have to look at everything that's been going on with Astral Chain. You look at the game, how it just looks. You look at the gameplay. You look at the previous sales of even like a port like Bayonetta 2 on the Switch. You look at some of the other games that have been released like Puyo Puyo Tetris and Enter the Gungeon. Some of these indie games or smaller titles that have sold way more than 1 million or have sold way more than 700,000 units. And if you look at the release, August 30th, at the very end, I think that there really hasn't been a ton in August. So I think it makes sense that people are going to gravitate towards this type of game. I think it's really going to do well, and I can see it selling lifetime to date at least at the bare minimum 2 million units plus. 2 million units plus I think is good for a game like Astral Chain. I feel that there is enough content, there is enough combat, there's enough good stuff in here with the amount of Switch owners that we do have, that we can see this game do really well. On top of that, you have the new Switch revision with the better battery life. I think that's going to help boost up sales. You also have the Nintendo Switch Lite coming out in September. I think that's going to help boost up sales and get more people into it and to play Astral Chain. So the more systems that you have sold, the more that your games can usually do. The Wii U didn't sell as much as it should have because there wasn't enough people buying the systems. 3DS did better because it had way more people who bought the 3DS system. So Nintendo Switch is definitely more on the track of the 3DS than it is on the Wii U. So I see a game like this doing really well on the Nintendo Switch, and I think that it will be a easy shoo-in for at least a minimum by next year around this time, by the end of August. So I'm pretty confident the game is going to do well. We're going to have to wait and see till Nintendo or till Platinum Games reports on the sales. We don't know what they're going to say. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes they do mention Platinum Games titles, like they mentioned how much Bayonetta kind of sold in one of their financial reports like last year, but then sometimes they don't talk about it at all. So we'll see what ultimately ends up doing, but I definitely think it's going to do at least a minimum. So I think that's an easy win for me when it comes to, there's a little bit of money on the line as well, so we'll see what happens there. But what do you guys think about all the different topics here when it comes to the sales or potential sales of Astral Chain? Also the music as well, this brand new track. In addition to Astral Chain being inspired by Pokemon, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.